So I also want to give you something else to think about with regards to self-empowerment. Now, living here where I do, and in past situations where I've been outside of a dense population center, there's been time to reflect, all in good balance. Sometimes I feel like I've reflected enough. But in the deep reflection, there is the knowledge or the wisdom of being responsible for our own emotions. And I was already predisposed to believing in that, and having done some Vipassana meditation in 2002, but later on, 10 years later, my first experience in Costilla County, and that coming back to me, the idea of why I was really there, not only in stepping back from the electric grid, but stepping back from others. So this thing called loneliness, we can overcome these things. See, there's purpose in discussing these things, including relationships and things that we've gotten over, right? Ways in which we've grown. Other people online can learn and feel empowered by that information. So we shouldn't feel shamed from sharing our experience. You shouldn't feel shamed. In fact, I want to bring more energy around this mentally strong stance, because we need more of this. And we'll also need to see a stronger sign from YouTube's part that, it's not going to keep attacking videos that are trying to do the right thing and not focus on all these other things. Also, I want to make mention, so we have a breaking news headline, but again, like with what happened in Vegas, if someone reports on it, their channel could be easily marginalized simply by reporting on things taking place. So loneliness has also a lot to do with social engineering. I'm not going to go way down that rabbit hole, but let's start showing you what's on the radar and why I'm bringing it up. Why am I bringing it up? I'm bringing it up because I realize that today's society needs a lonely man survival guide, and today's men don't have one. In fact, in the day and age of the internet, we're having to learn how to keep it together on our own, especially me living off the grid, and I'd like to have more of an exciting life, but I'm having to, through basically trial and error. This is still an ongoing social experiment. It's not typically done, and I thought I was doing it for my health. And now they're warning me that it might not be good for my health. And I can see how elements of certain things, and stress, I understand, are not, and elements of isolation can lead to stress. But I also believe in mind over matter. So what I'm doing is something that's ongoing, but I also understand someone could be very lonely in the city. And I remember what that is like as well. So as we go through this, and I'm just going to read you a little bit, then show you some of the other information. I'm imperfect, but I do recognize the work that's been done that exists out there from Bruce Lipton and others, even if they've lived easier lives than maybe someone that's homeless, and it may seem easier for them to always think about the bright side of life. Greg Braden and others. And there are people out there that have been very successful, that are very easy to think about the bright side of life, but do they have a point with the nature of where we put our thoughts and epigenetics? And so epigenetics comes to mind because we discovered homelessness. A lot of people through the loneliness also and other things, our thoughts are important. And we need to learn techniques and ways to alter our thoughts to where our thoughts don't hurt us, even if we're basically doing time, if you will, in the matrix. We have to override the codes of the matrix. So is it really the isolation itself, or is it the state of consciousness of the one in isolation? I don't know. Take a look at the monk that's meditating somewhere, that's maintaining a certain level of body heat in the snow, in the mountains. And then we also take a look at someone else. You can also find in the sea of homelessness some people that are almost like Socrates, the character of Socrates from the book Way of the Peaceful Warrior, written by Dan Millman, I think portrayed by Gary Busey somewhere in a really not so good depiction in a movie. But some people that are highly spiritual and advanced on a certain level are living in poverty or have lived in certain situations, and or without perhaps certain social situations. So as we are predisposed also, I would even say marginalized, lonely men, dangerous Single lonely men off the grid, single lonely men off the grid with the conspiracy theories, single lonely men off the conspiracy theories might be different in a particular way. And yeah, we need to step back from how we're even programmed to be depressed during the depression. And I'm here to kind of be a cheerleader and try to help you understand, articulate to the best of my ability, but this is beyond words. We can overcome. We shall overcome. But yeah, I have a dream. I have a dream that a lot of stuff we've been doing all these years will result in some positive things in the future. And what can be said was said to me years ago, even before I had my brief home free experience living in a mobile teardrop camper on wheels, that those people that learn how to be home free first, or are homeless basically, will be easier to survive future events. The reason I bring that up is because there are a lot of intense things that are coming to our nation. And right now is really the quiet before the storm. And so there could be times in our future where we need to be alive. We need to be strong. We need to be there in mind, body, and spirit. We may need to be a leader. Jared said something about mindful leadership that needs to be taken into account also in a day and age where there is so much deceit. I'm pausing here as my camera's thinking, going, do you really want to bring up multiple windows? But it's amazing that I'm able to do what I can do. And so, are you prepared to be a person of leadership and guidance and information in your area on the most basic of levels? And if the answer is no, and you know, it may not be requested at this time. They may not want your advice. Did we ask you for your advice? No one here is asking me for my advice. But is there an outlet in this world to where my outside the box view, although it may not be popular, it may not be advertiser friendly, is there a place in this world somewhere over the YouTube, somewhere deep within YouTube, buried by the algorithm, you're going to... Okay, we'll stop there. But we will read a little bit from this article as we got a chance to connect with this sad girl by the river. I don't know how much I want to add to this. I will say, we're going to read a little bit. Some people rather be lonely in a not so good way and feel sorry for themselves than to give certain people in this world a chance. Some people rather have a dog around them than someone of the opposite sex because of some particular reason. Or when they do get involved with particular people, it may be constantly, repeatedly, the wrong people. What I understand as a man is that in my own mindful attempt to be mindfully living outside of mainstream society and to thrive and survive and be beyond a level where someone's barely surviving because they're isolated, but because I intended this experience, it was part of a deliberate move over 10 years in the making, the thought, the goal, doesn't mean that it doesn't come without its challenge, a certain level of poverty, but it's like there is a certain amount of intention. And let me just read this real quick. More Americans than ever before are living alone. Some people are better at this than others. They thrive on alone time and seem perfectly happy flying solo at the movies, restaurants, and on vacation, when the rest of the world couldn't imagine doing these things without a partner, spouse, or friends. But new research finds that even if you relish solitary living, too much me time could cut your life short. So they did a research at a young university, and I don't doubt this. And there are other factors, by the way, living in certain areas. I've mentioned cosmic rays, higher elevation, other effects on biology, other things that can compound stress for people in specific areas, like here. Early mortality. And I can understand why. For the study published in Perspectives on Psychology Science, researchers analyzed data from a variety of health studies on loneliness, social isolation, and living alone. So just making a quick parallel and show you, here's what else we have on the grill. Loneliness, an epidemic. Study finds that half of Americans, especially young people, feel lonely. Let's focus on just the article at the moment. With young people in particular experiencing the brunt of the pain. Apparently I was born in 1980, so I guess that's the oldest of the quote millennials. A heavily attacked group as well as dealing with the isolation. I'll put yourself in the shoes of a younger person that's been full of all this into the world programming, being basically conditioned and told that there is no future. And again, someone could feel lonely because they turn inward when they begin to perceive reality different than the norm. We live in a world that punishes the outside the box thinker, period. As a way of life, I've experienced that. Certain people are not normally gonna buck to social pressure. They won't just, okay, I'll give in. I'll just date dumb girls, drink Heineken, and work as a waiter at the Olive Garden. Hey, check out all this yo-yo plush. Check out my rap CDs. Hey, girls, want a drink? There could be a different version of Alex Ansary that came out swinging. That a lot of people in this world would be way more comfortable with. You know what I'm saying? However, that's not the specific... That's not the way it manifested. And so as a reality, I live where I live. I'm on a particular path. So I'm not here for popularity in the major cities. What's the point? The point is there's purpose in life. What kept me together during that period from the loneliness when I was living in a teardrop camper? What kept me away from drinking heavily? For most of the time, I didn't even go into a bar. Even when I had money, hundreds of dollars, there was a goal. There was a goal. There was a goal. There was a purpose. There was a purpose. And so there's like people out there that get marginalized for hanging out by themselves. Hey, why don't you want to be at the nightclub like the rest of us? Get down on it. Maybe, just like STDs on a sexual level, you got to be careful about who you bed down with. It's also the same thing what kind of cities you live in. What kind of systems you support. What kind of politicians you watch, what kind of celebrity conspiratainment folks you consume on YouTube. See, there's this energetic connection. That's like, someone could feel, oh, I'm feeling like a loneliness that I don't have like my own, like, not to use Howard Stern as an example, but like a good time radio type. Lycus isn't a good example either, but these are big time radio names, but like a show we can all just agree on and just listen to and enjoy around the fire, something to keep you like cozy at night. It's also why Coast to Coast AM has done so well over the years, but I'm not really a fan of the current Coast to Coast. The point is, sometimes it's better to admit, you know what, maybe I should just keep the radio off. Yeah, too many political ads, maybe a lot of fake news, manufacture this, manufacture that, maybe leave the radio off, maybe read a book. So like in this case, maybe meditate. There was a real sense of pulling in my perception and my brain wiring, oh, Alex, at a certain age, you should be doing this, or doing that, or doing this, or living this life. And that type of thinking could be stressing the body when it should be the thinking. Somebody even asked me when I was working at that crappy fast food restaurant, Alex's legendary fast food restaurant experience, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 14 days straight in one time, summer of 2018. So, Alex, do you date anyone? And they're not like, hey, you interested? Girls got like several kids with several dudes. They're like prying and stuff. Oh, you're not like trying to stick your wee-wee into anything that moves? No, I'm not. Well, you're weird. What do you like to do? Are you they like to play that game. Are you gay? Oh, so you're gay? They're like, we're literally in a world now where some guy's single and he's hanging out by himself. I'm just well, are you? So like they mock. So like this society is like idiocracy on. It's more than a political statement I'm making. Sitting there and watching YouTube, it's like the character in Idiocracy is watching hit his balls, balls. So like people are like lonely, living in these 2D worlds. We've been programmed to pull back from society with our unique views. I mean, hell, now there's like old-time trolling taking place with big-time celebrities doing like nationwide and school bowling. And, it's cyberbullying, they call it, to the point where like it's caused like serious shaming and loneliness, mental health issues with kids. When I was in high school, I wasn't on Facebook because Facebook didn't exist. There wasn't any type of cyberbullying or anything like that. It just didn't exist. It just happened, and there were fights, and people would just come up and punch you and attack you. But it wasn't done like behind the internet, like as a way of life. So how does that fit into this? Society can shame someone on YouTube or some other medium from sharing from their heart about their life experience, and that can increase someone's sense of loneliness. Of course, they can overcome it. Doesn't mean that because they can overcome it that they will overcome it, or maybe some people overcome it in stages, and they keep themselves, because their minds are strong, able to keep going to a certain degree because they have that much true chi. I'm just giving my own perspective. Well, what do I know? I'm just cuckoo, Alex, up in the hills. No, seriously, chi, energy, internal energy, also called prana. And we need some of that life force. Yes, there's a sense of, oh, I'm so dependent. I need someone else's life force to, no, you don't. You don't. You don't. It helps. It helps to hang out once in a while. Sex, relationships, party, beer, adventure, theme parks, hell, you name it. It's part of the human experience. Whoa! There's the pain and pleasure, though, dichotomy of the monkey man, the monkey woman. Brain, fight or flight, super horny, super violent, super like entertain me, feed me, wah, wah. I mean, seriously, we've been like programmed to a certain degree to like be certain ways. We have to override. We have to override and learn how to figure things out for ourselves, because it's an insane asylum, seriously, for souls. And the country's becoming one, literally. So, they want to point at look at those millennials, look, and they all got the shot. They literally were born, most of them, with a cell phone in their friggin' mouth. Uses a, here, be quiet, said their mama, like pretend this is a cell phone. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Put the cell phone back in your mouth, because she never thought to actually get a little, mothers literally of like the 90s, in the 2000s. Babies having babies. I'm walking around with cell phone here, people getting depressed. Like, look at those millennials. They're destroying the world. Yeah, they're the ones that got us in debt. Yeah, they're the ones that launched the never-ending wars. Yeah, and they're out there in droves just celebrating the wars. Yeah, if they're being duped into the military-industrial complex, then they're being duped by those forces that are targeting them. Do they have like an adult group really at all, really speaking for them? Or is there like the children that are like forgotten by the world, that are already being programmed for the alien apocalypse and the one world order and the biometric thumb scan and the familyless world? And in the familyless world with less compassion also, and healing between the true divine feminine and masculine. Once that divide, which it already is, I've experienced it, so I know the trauma that it causes, and that level of loneliness where we're disconnected from the feminine, where we do not feel also appreciated when we do good deeds by elements of our society, where we're in fact punished and exiled. So you know what this doesn't even get into. All over the place here, but I think this is important stuff. But I'm just, I'm up in the hills, so I'm up in the clouds. That Alex guy, he's out there. What the studies, let's just keep moving here. What the studies do not explain to us is how society can create lonely people when it exiles people from sharing their views or from jobs or being part of a functional society, and when society itself is running rampant with its witch hunts, political and otherwise. And when society goes in violent directions and promotes violent institutions and violent movies and wars without end, is it unnatural for people to want to kind of pull back from that? I've said again that the problem, time and time again, is our ability today with the technology that we have for the supposed good people, or the people that have unplugged from the draconian system, to be able to build their own communities and currencies. I don't know so much as governments. I think we should just start with coffee. And I've basically, though, seen how the false revolution woke people on social media thing has added to the real loneliness for the real organic experience. The lack of the organic grassroots community for those of us that are waking up to the matrix is the core of our dilemma, trouble, and focus. What's the solution? How can we even begin to look at a solution? We're still in a downward spiral. And you need to pretend, you need to protect yourself from the scams that are out there on the internet, whether it be something that someone's trying to sell you for actual money, or someone trying to manipulate you when you're lonely, saying, well, aren't you so lonely? Well, come to Papa, little girl, or come to Mama, little boy. Or there are deceptions that people will play when people are lonely and desperate, when they reach a point where they break. And I'm just going free flow, folks. You better take some notes. On a spiritual level, it's like something out of Truman Show, Dark City, or The Matrix, or some other allegory. It's like once they're waking up and they're realizing this is, you got to go all the way. It's like Miyagi saying, left road safe, right road safe, middle is squished, just like grape. You have to go all the way with one's desire to be independent, or to be on the path of goodness, or to be in one's truth, Now, from that perspective, somebody may, if they don't want to be lonely and they want to be accepted and they want to party and they want sex and they may have to, in a certain reality, edit who they really are. That whole thing about just be yourself is an absolute lie. Be what other people want you to be while acting like it's natural is a better way to rephrase it. So to overcome loneliness by interacting again with society and being a part of the club again, therefore requires, I'm talking real human psychology here, folks, at Outside the Box TV, it requires someone to modify who they are. So in the desire for the tribe, the true outside the box thinker may have to compromise some of their morals, integrity. If they want to cure their loneliness and get on with the average girl that they meet online, they may need to be into alcohol first to just kind of relax the whole thing and be in that type of environment instead of somewhere else, maybe a little bit more spiritual. I think it's in another dimensional world where we start with spiritual talk as a little bit of foreplay without alcohol, just a little bit of walk in the park, and then right away into it without a bunch of conflict. Could I, should I, would I? And then it not even being weird afterwards. But again, those things happen on the planet B, which I just randomly speculate about. The metaphorical, more evolved planet where people are using like the full percentage of their brain and we're not just stuck into monkey mind, fight or flight. Going back into this very educational report before us now, you just looked at information about an epidemic of loneliness in the UK. So this is worldwide? Oh, geez, don't say that. Loneliness and weak social connections are associated with a reduction in lifespan, similar to that caused by smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It is interesting. So there are the stress hormones, yes. But see, it doesn't even get into, then what about those also live in environments with gunshots going off, not knowing what's coming next year, happening to their YouTube channel? I mean, there are real life, well, we're a part of it now, folks. People may look back, probably should wrap things up here and get you, let you go about your evening. Get ready to go on out to the nightclub. Probably get ready to record Saturday Night Live. Who knows what Alec Baldwin's going to be doing. But, you know, I just wanted to bring you this 12-step program. Make sure to admit, number one, that you're powerless over loneliness and you were born with a genetic defect. It's just sarcasm, folks. A little AA humor. Maybe we'll have to do some live SNL skits, doing a live YouTube stream. You're throwing me big cash when I put them on the glass in the form of a super chat. I'll put them on the glass, folks. We're going to see $100+. I want to be treated the same way as anyone walking that catwalk. But seriously, folks, it is therapeutic to talk about things. And I think that we, those of us that speak the truth, are facing, well, we're facing challenges now. And I talk about some things that I consider to be the sanitized public version on YouTube, and then that's how things are. So here's what we talked about in the sanitized version on YouTube, official version of reality, where I think the audience is open to hearing and vibing to. A lot of us are in this together. We got to think outside the box. Like I said before, we need your innovation. There aren't very many people that offer to volunteer and help me do things on the internet. If you're someone, for example, I've said before, it's living off disability, and you don't even need money. You're just looking for stuff to do. You're looking for stuff to organize. And there are things that I would encourage someone to do to stay busy. We can talk a little bit more. I don't know if I have the information up now. How to survive loneliness. We'll leave you with a couple things from lonerwolf.com. Okay, because this is not a how-to guide, how to survive loneliness, but it is bringing you to a state of awareness that the lonely men of the world need a loneliness survival guide, and it also requires a disclaimer. Okay, here we go. Here we go. We didn't even have it up. 6 tips for battling loneliness. And then we have a separate article. So this is from someone else. Remember that although the distinction can be difficult to draw, loneliness and solitude are different. That's a good distinction. Nurturing others helps to alleviate loneliness. Connecting with nature. Maybe getting like something like Wilson. If you've seen Castaway, I watched Castaway recently. Work hard to get your sleep. And let me go ahead back to this. Try to figure out what's missing. Take steps to connect with other people. Also, when you connect with other lonely people, I mean, if you're more on the spiritual level than the lower level, then be aware, right? Just like protecting your energy, you can be brought down by other people's misery. And the same thing online. We can bring each other down without even being aware of it. It's just on autopilot. And so that's something to consider. That there are a lot of ways in which I think that we're just going to end it there, right? You just have to investigate this. Yeah. Like you could find what works for you, but also find like what's not helping. There could be people that don't realize that loneliness has caused them to do things to cause other people pain to bring them down to their level. And I would say that this is like a collective psychological state that a lot of our society is a part of. A lot of our society supports it. I was just talking about the gang mentality. Well, he did this to you. Well, you did this to them. So, yeah, investigating one's spirituality, gathering books about the nature of reality, finding ways to go beyond victim consciousness and maybe come to an awareness that we may be alive for a reason. Down to like very specific levels. Like we can affect our reality and we should, but like there's a purpose for being here, and there is a purpose going even deeper to going beyond the blueprint of self-destruction. Self-destruction equates to certain things, including topics that are controversial on YouTube. It includes smoking cigarettes, includes certain risky behavior, it includes joining the military. And doing other things to your neighbor. It includes alcohol abuse. Did I mention that? It includes drug abuse. It includes watching movies like Boogie Nights. No, it includes doing a lot of crazy things. And I'm telling you, like, this society needs this knowledge. This society needs this knowledge, that it needs to be in control of one's emotions is a limited way of looking at it. It needs to be beyond its emotions. It needs to understand the periods in which those strong emotions are going to come out. Like the strong loneliness vibe that can lead to someone doing self-destructive things can be brought out, for example, or a new moon for some, full moon in others, add in a solar flare. So like a particular thing that could be unresolved, that is all this stuff, could be rising to the surface during certain energies. Like right now, there's a certain like, okay, everything that's already there is just here. But again, there's purpose also in why we do what we do, why we may pull back, from the nightclub way of life. And while there's a little bit of trade-off, if we followed like the mass way of consciousness and what the average psychiatrists were suggesting, we would probably be walking around with drugged, like something out of THX 1138, which is a movie. You can look up clips on YouTube with shaved heads, with little controlled environments, self-driving cars, and robot police walking around making sure that we don't hurt ourselves or sexually violate others. And so this is really the nature of society and mass consciousness. It likes to talk about the craziness that's going on, but it's also part of creating it. I'm Alex Ansary here on the October 27th day of the year 2018 to give you another perspective on what's really going on.